CFR Title 49, Federal Railroad Administration, Part 224, Reflectorization Railway Freight Rolling Stock, Subpart A, 224.1, Purpose and Scope, 224.3, Applicability, 224.5, Definition, 224.7, Waivers, 224.9, Responsibility for Compliance, 224.11, Penalties, 224.13, Preemptive Effect, 224.15, Special Approval Procedures. Alright, and then it goes into Subpart B, Application, Inspection, Maintenance for Reflective Material, 224.101, General Requirements, 224.103, Characteristic retroflective sheeting, 224.105, Sheet Dimensioning and Quantity, 224.106, Location of Reflective Sheeting, 224.107, Implementation of Schedule, 224.109, Inspection, Repair, Replacement, 224.111, a Renewal, Appendix A, Part 224, Schedule of Civil Penalties, Appendix B, Part 224, Form Reflectorization, Implementation, Compliance Report. Appendix C to Part 224, Guidelines for Submitting Reflectorization Implementation Compliance Reports. Authority Title 49, U.S. Standard Code 2103, 2107, 2148, 2130.01, Title 28, U.S. Standard Code 2461, Note, Title 49, CFR 149, so 70 Federal Title 70, 70 Federal Register 62176, October 28, 2005, unless otherwise noted. Alright, Subpart A, 224.1, Purpose and Scope. The purpose of this part was to reduce highway grade crossing accidents, death, and injuries, property damage resulting from these incidents, enhancing conspicuously railway freight stocking so that it increased the detectable motor vehicle operated under the condition of the poor visibility. In order to achieve the cost-effective mitigation of the cost of the risk of the highway grade crossing, the part of it establishes the duty for the freight rolling stock owners, including those who manage the maintenance of the freight rolling stock, supply freight rolling stock for transportation, other freight rolling stock and transportation, rail progressively apply with the retroflective material for the freight of the rolling stock, and periodically inspection and maintain the material freight rolling stock owners, however, are under no duty to install, clean, or otherwise maintain, repair reflective material except as specified in this part. See, this part establishes a schedule for the application of retroflective material for the railway freight rolling stock, prescribes the standard for the application for inspection maintenance for the retroflective material for the rail freight rolling stock for the purpose of enhancement and detectability with the highway railway crossing. The part does not reach straight a freight rolling stock owner with the railroad applying with the retroflective material with the freight rolling stock for the other purposes consistent with the recognized pattern required for this part. 224.3, Applicability. The part applied with all the railroad freight cars, locomotives operated with the public and private highway of the railroad grade crossing as RE with revenue with work train service except A. Freight rolling stock with the operator only with the track inside installation that is not part of the general railroad system with the rail transportation operation in an urban area that are not connected with the general railroad system with the transportation, locomotives and or passenger cars used exclusively in passenger services with the freight rolling stock for the subject for the reflectorization requirement propagated with under the federal agency. Definitions, 224.5, definitions. Administrative meaning for the administrative of the Federal Railroad Administration with the administrative delegate, the associated administrative, the associated administrative state for the Federal Railroad Administration Association. Administrative delegate damage means scratch or broken chip the peel. The delaminated flat car meaning for the cars having a flat or deck with the underframe with no sides, ends with the roof, including spines. Cars articulated with multiple unit inner modules. Freight rolling stock car means any locomotive subject to Part 229 of the chapter under the use of the halt switch freight cars which are within revenue with work train service. And 2, any railroad freight car whether they use them revenue with work train service. The freight rolling stock owner means any the person who owns the freight of the rolling stock or leases is the leaser of the freight rolling stock of the manages maintains the use of the freight rolling stock on behalf of the owner and one or more leasers or lessors. Otherwise control the maintenance of the use of the freight control stock. Locomotive with the meaning assigned with the Title 29.5 of the chapter for the purpose of the part applied for the locomotive use of the transportation freight with the operation with the work of the train. So it means for the concealed with the hidden, covered up with the wear of the layer of the paint, dense chemical residue blocks all incoming light with the term does not refer to ordinary accumulations of the dirt. Grim ice resulting from the normal railroad operation environment. The person means that any of the type of covered in Title 1 U.S. Standard Code, included but not limited to the following: a railroad manager, supervisor, official, other employee, agent of the railroad, any owner, manufacturer, leaser, or lessor of the railroad, equipment that track of the facility, independent of the contractor, providing with the guides, goods or service of the railroad, and employees such as the owner, manufacturer, leaser, or lessor, independent contractor. Railroad means all the forms of the non-highway ground transportation that run on the rail, electromagnetic guidelines, including high-speed ground transportation system with the control, connect metropolitan areas language with regard whether the use of new technologies associated with the traditional railroads. Railroad freight car has the meaning of the sign of the statute 215.5 of the chapter. Tanker car means of the rail car with the body with the consists of the tank of the transportation and liquids. Universal machine language of the equipment register meaning of the database containing the information on rail equipment maintained in the Association of American Railroads. Unqualified retrospective sheeting engineering grade sheet of the super engineering grade sheet and the closed lens with the high intensity with the sheeting of the ASTM type 1234 sheeting described in ASTM International Standards D495604 standard specification reflective sheet for traffic control. What work train means the non-revenue service of the use of the maintenance of the upkeep service of the railroad. 224.7 waivers. Any person subject with the requirements of the part of the petition with the administrative waiver of compliance such with the requirements defined with the part such part as does not affect the person's responsible for the compliance with the requirement of the petition is being considered. Each petition for the waiver under the section shall be filed with the manner of containing the information required in part 211 of the chapter. If the administrator finds that the waiver compliance is in public interest and consistent with the railroad safety, the administrator may grant the waiver subject to any conditions the administrator deems necessary. 224.9 responsibility compliance rate rolling stock owner of the railroads with respect to the certification of the material manufactured retroflective material primarily responsible for the compliance with the parts that have been any for the person performs any function of the task required with this part, including an employee, agent, contractor with foreman, and most part of the function in accordance with this part. Any person performing any function task required with the part deemed that has to consent with the FRA inspection with the personal facility with required records to the extent of the necessary to determine whether the function of the task has been performed in accordance with the requirements of this part. Penalties. 224.11 and penalties. Any person, including but not limited to the railroad, any manager, supervisor, official, other employee, agent of the railroad, any owner of the manufacturer, leaser, or lessor for the railroad, equipment, track, facilities, and any employee of the such owner, manufacturer, leaser, or lessor, independent contractor who violates the requirement of the part of the clause of the violation, any such requirement of the civil penalty of $650, but not more than $25,000 per violation, except for the penalties must be assessed against the individual of the only willful violation where the grossly negligent violation part and repeated violation created with an imminent hazard for the death and injury to the person has the cause of death and injury penalty of exceeding $105,000 per violation. Assume that each day of the violation continues shall constitute a separate offense. The Appendix A to part of the one contains the schedule of civil penalties amount used in connection with this part. Any person who knowingly, willfully, sought falsely records for the report required of the part subject for the criminal penalties under Title 49 Standard 21.33.11. To Statute 224.13 preemptive effect. Under Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 20106, an issuance of the part that preempts the state law, rules, regulation under the covering of the same subject matter, except with the additional more stringent law, rule, regulation, or order necessary to eliminate the produce essential local safety hazards, is not incompatible with law, rule, regulation, and order of the United States government that does not unreasonably burden interstate commerce. Or Statute 224.15 Special Approval Procedures. General, the following procedures given the consideration action upon with the special approval of the alternate standard with the Statute 224.103. Petitions. Each petition with separate approval of the alternative standards with it shall contain the name and the title of the address, telephone number, the primary proof of the contact regarded with the petition, the alternate proposed with the detail with the substitute with the particular arrangement of this part, appropriate data analysis establishing alternative will be at least equivalent level of safety meet the requirements of the Statute 224.103E. Each petition shall each petition for the special approval of the alternate standard shall be submitted with the docular official for the Chief of the Council Federal Administrator of the RRC 10, Mailstop 10, 1200 New Jersey Avenue, Southeast Washington, D.C. 20590. Notice that the FRA will publish a notice for the Federal Register containing each petition within paragraph B of the section. Public comment. The FRA will provide a period not less than 30 days for the day of the publication for the notice of the Federal Register during any of the person to make a comment on the petition. Each comment shall set forth specifically the base upon with which the information contained with the statement with the interest of the commenter in the proceeding. Each comment should be submitted with the U.S. Department of Transportation docket and the operation of the M30 with the West Building ground floor with the room 412 W12 140 with the 1200 New Jersey Avenue, Southeast Washington, D.C. 20590 shall contain the assigned docket number which appears with the Federal Register. The proceeding form of the submission may be written in electronic form that consistent with the standard of the requirements established in the FEAR document management system purpose pocketed on its website or www.regulations.gov. In the event of the FRA determines requires additional information approximately considered the petition, the FRA will conduct the hearing on the petition in accordance with the procedures provided within Statute 21125 of the chapter disposition petition. If the FRA finds the petition complied with the requirements of this section, the proposed alternative standards except the change justified both of the petition granted normally 90 days after the receipt. Associate administrator may determine the applicability of the technical requirements of the part of the rendering of the decision of the petition. The petition is neither granted nor denied within the 90 days of the petition. Pending on the decision, the FRA may attach special conditions for the approval of the petition. Following the approval of the petition, the FRA may be open the consideration petition that for cause stated. 2. If the FRA finds for the petition that does not comply with the requirements of this section, the proposed alternative standard is not acceptable, the proposed changes do not justify both, and petition will be denied normally within 90 days after of its receipt. Within FRA grants or denies of the petition, reopens the consideration petition. Written notices sent to the petitioner and his or interested party, and copy of the notices placed in the electronic docket or proceedings. Subpart P, application, inspection, maintenance for the retroflective material. General requirements: all freight rolling stock subject to the part equipped with the retroflective sheeting with the conform the requirements for the part when standing any provision. Chapter application, inspection, maintenance for the sheet with the conducted with the corn subpart with the corns for the alternate stand with the providing at least the equivalent level of safety after the special level of approval of the FRA under Statute 224.15. 224.103 characteristics of the retroflective sheeting. Construction: retroflective sheeting is applied with the presumed for the purpose of the consistent with smooth, flat, transparent exterior film with a microprismatic retroflective element in base and suspends beneath the film with this to form a non-exposed retroflective optical system. Color: retroflective sheeting pursuant to the part with the yellow, fluorescent yellow or white as specified chromatically coordinated on the STM International Standard D495604 standard specific reflector sheeting with the traffic control director of the Federal Register. Approved the incorporation reference standard with the section in accordance with the Title 5 U.S. Standard Code 552A with the Title 1 CFR Part 51. May obtain a copy of incorporated standard for the STM International 100 Bar Harbor Drive with P.O. Box C700 West Conshohocken, PA 19428 to 295 with a zip code 29549 extra 4 zip at www.astm.org. You may inspect the copies incorporated and standard for the FRA Railroad Administration, docket 1200 New Jersey Avenue, Southeast Washington, D.C. 20590. National Archives Records or NARA for information available material the NARA 202-741-6030 or www.archives Federal Register Code for Regulations IBR locations. Our performance: retroflective sheeting applied with the presumed part sheet metal requirements of the ASTM D49564 with the Type 5 sheeting with the metal, Type 7 sheeting and the non-metallized, except for the initial minimum value of the coefficient of retroflexion, shall individually apply with meeting the minimum value of the coefficient retroflexion specified in Table 1. Table 1, Subpart B, with the Part 224 minimum coefficient retroflector candle Lewis.
Adam, if I do your noodles with regular,
Alright, minimum coefficient of retroflexion, RA, candlelight, Lewis meters, requirement of retroflective sheeting, minimum photometric performance requirements, negative 4 degrees, yet 400 to yellow for recent fluorescence, 2/10 of a degree, white 600, 0.5 degrees yellow fluorescent yellow, 160 white, and 30 degrees entrance angle, 220 degrees yellow fluorescent with a 10th of a degree white, 350 yellow fluorescent recent, 45.5 degrees 75. The certification, the character is the FRA 224 consisting of the manufacturer certification retroflective sheeting conformed with the requirement of paragraph A and C with the section shall appear with at least once exposed for each of the piece of sheeting. The final application for the character shall be the minimum of 3 millimeters high and shall be permanently stamped, etched, or modeled, imprinted within the product. Each certification shall be placed no more than 4 inches apart. Alternative standards upon petition by the freight rolling stock owner and the railroad owner. 2 Statute 215 with the associated administrator may approve of the alternative technology providing the equivalent safety. Each petition shall provide a data analysis sufficient to establish that the technology result with conspicuously durability least equal and sheeting described in paragraphs A through C with the reply with the corners with this part will represent with the recognizable visible target suitable with the consistent with the freight rolling stock equipped with the retroflective sheeting meet with the technical requirements of the part provided with the intent of the warning of the mount motorist. Alright, statute 224-105, sheeting dimensions and quantity. Retroflective sheeting should be applied with along the length of each of the railroad freight car along the side of the described in 224-106. Unless otherwise specified, retroflective sheeting applied under this part applied with the strips of 4 inches wide with the 18 to 36 inches long. Approximately the amount of the retroflective sheeting is applied with each of the car locomotives to a particular part independent of the length of the car, the open length of the locomotive of the car sheeting of the purpose of the part of the length of the railroad freight car with the locomotives is measured in end-sill to end-sill screws with a coupler and draft gear. Each side of the railroad freight car of this part included each of the multiple unit and each of the sides subject to this part may be equipped with at least minimum amount of retroflective sheeting specified in Table 2 of this subpart. Alright, this shows the freight car length and locomotive length. The first one I will read with the minimum area of reflective sheeting required per car locomotive side yellow sheeting foot squared. Alright, and then the next one would be minimum area reflective sheeting of the per car locomotives, while sheeting, white sheeting, locomotive 50 foot 3.5 foot squared yellow, 4 foot squared white, 50 to 60 4.4 foot squared yellow, 5 foot white, 60 to 70 foot 4.5 foot yellow, 5.5 foot white, 70 to 80 5 foot white, 5 foot yellow, 6 foot white. Over 80 to 90 foot freight car in length, 5.5 foot yellow, 7 foot white. Over 90 to 100 foot, 6 foot yellow, 7.5 foot white. Alright, 224-106 location with the reflective sheeting. Railroad freight car with the retroflective sheeting shall be applied with along the length of each of the railroad freight car side with the manner provided with the uniform industrial standard, except with the associated administrator provide the distribution material with the length of each of the car is close to the practicable with the 42 inch from the top of the car in the event of the standard preferred with the pro-offered with the industry, except with the associated administrator with the criteria set forth in the subpart. Shall apply retroflective sheeting should apply with under the part with located with the prudency of the devices and ladders and other safety appliance pipes and other attachments may obscure the visibility. Retroflexion sheeting need not to be applied with a discontinuous surface to other bolts, rivets, the door hinges, and other irregularly shaped areas. Prevent the sheeting of adhering with the car sides. Additional retroflexion sheeting not to be applied with existing required with the car stencil remarks necessary to avoid that prudency discontinuity of the surfaces of the existing and the required car marking stencils 4x18, 4x36 inch stripe. The reflection material, but it may be divided into 4x9 inch strips applied with either side of the prudency discontinued surface of the car marking stencil practical unless otherwise specified. Retroflective sheeting shall be applied along the sides. Retroflective freight rolling stack intervals not to exceed 12 feet as practical. If not practical, to apply retroflective sheeting every 12 feet. Because of the existing stencil, the prudency discontinuity surface of sheeting should be applied at the next interval practical. General rule on railroad freight car other than flat car, tank cars, retroflective sheeting should apply with the vertical horizontal pattern length of the car on the side of the bottom edge of the sheeting with a practical 42 inches above the top of the rail. Retroflective sheeting shall not be applied between the side so the vertical application vertical sheeting is applied with a vertical pattern at least 4x36 strips, the 4x18 inch strips, one above the other, and should be applied to close each of any of the cars being between the two vertical ends of the strip. The minimum of the 4/18 of the strip shall be applied with at least 12 feet as practical. See figures 1, 2, and 3. Let's rotate this thing. Alright, this shows your figure 1 yellow vertical sheeting with a 4.5 foot square patterns applied with over the typical 60 foot 6 foot boxcar. Additional sheeting required in Title 49 224-105 in white sheeting applied in lieu of yellow. This is your vertical reflecting sheet of 4 foot square pattern applied with a 50 foot covered hopper card. Additional sheet with the Title 42 24-105 in white sheeting applied. This figure 1 is a yellow type vertical sheeting of the 4 foot square pattern applied with a typical 52.5 foot gondola. Additional required with the Title 49 CFR 224-105 with white sheeting of this in lieu of yellow. Alright, horizontal application of the reflective sheeting is applied in a horizontal pattern has been at least 4/30 inches of the 4/18 of an inch strip. Over the next and others shall be applied with close to the end of the car. The practical between these strips and the minimum of 1 4/8 inches shall be applied to at least every 12 foot practical. See figures 4, 5, and 6. Alright, this is an alternate pattern using horizontal reflection sheet 4.5 foot square applied with a 60 foot and a half boxcar. Additional sheeting required in Title 49 CFR 324-105 is white. Sheeting applied blue of yellow. Alright, figure 5 is an alternate pattern yellow horizontal vertical sheeting of the 40 foot square pattern yellow applied with the typical 50 foot covered hopper car. Additional sheeting is required with the per Title 49 CFR 224-105 white. Sheeting is applied with blue of yellow. Alright, alternate pattern, horizontal vertical pattern sheeting of the 4 foot square pattern applicable to a 52.5 foot gondola card. Additional sheeting per partial CFR 224-105 while white is applied with in lieu of yellow. Alright, tanker cars. On tanker cars, retroflector sheeting is applied with the vertically on each side of the car center, but the horizontal line out of the tanker car is not practical. If it is not practical, safely apply the sheeting center with the vertical about with the horizontal center line of the tank. The sheeting may be applied vertically on the top edge no longer than the center line of the tank, minimum either 1 4 36 inch for the strip of 2 4 by 8 inch strips above the other shall be applied on each of the end of the car practicable between the 2 inch strip. The minimum of 1 4/8 inch strip shall be applied at least to the 12 foot as practical. Retroflector sheeting applied under this part shall not be located in the spillage directly beneath the manway and unloaded of the tank. See figure 7 and 8. Alright, figure 7 shows the yellow vertical in the 4.5 foot section pattern of the typical tanker car between 60 to 70 foot, and additional should be required within Title 49 CFR 224-105 white, and sheeting is applied with in lieu of yellow. Alright, figure 8 shows the vertical reflective sheeting of the 4.5 inch on the typical tank car 60 foot, 7 foot, and sheeting per Title 49 224-105 the white is sheeting is applied in lieu of yellow. Alright, flat cars. On flat cars, retroflector sheeting is applied with a horizontal pattern length of the long side of the side sill, end of the sheeting no lower than the bottom side of the sill, top edge of the sheeting no higher than the top of the car deck of the floor, at least 2 4/8 inches above the strip shall be applied close to any of the cars practicable. There is a side sill with less than 8 inches wide, 143 inches in strip. 2 48 inch strips may be applied with one next to the other, dividing the strips into 9 segments necessary according to the paragraph of the section between the 2 inch strip of the minimum of the 4/8 and 18 inch strip shall be applied at least every 12 feet as practical. See figure 9. If the car is separate rack structure for the retroflective sheeting may be applied with the flat car portion with according to the requirements of the section. For cars without continuing side sill, the retroflective sheeting may be applied with the surface of the board side, with such that the center sill is provided with the sheeting not obstructing the components. Our figure 8 shows the yellow horizontal vertical sheeting in the pattern applied with the typical flat guard. Additional shall be required with Title 49 224-105 with white. Sheeting is applied in lieu of yellow. And then it says, car special construction paragraph applied for the car design which is compatible with the pattern's application, otherwise provided with the section retroflective sheeting conforms as closely as practical with the requirements of paragraph A1 through A3 of this section shall have the minimum amount of sheeting described in Statute 224-105 distributed in length with each of the type of the car. Locomotive subject for this part equipped with the lace of the minimum amount of the retroflective sheeting required in the Statute 224-105, either stripped from 4 inches for the wide of 18 by 36 inches along with the uniformly practicable along with the length of the locomotive. One continuous strip of at least 4 inches wide along with the length of the locomotive. Retroflective sheeting applied with the locomotive side applied with the closest practical to 44 or 42 inches at the top of the rail. Railroad freight cars. Railroad freight cars are subject to this part unless we equip with the retroflective sheeting conform with this part in November 2015. If the car is already retroflected material applied, it does not be necessary to stand for the part, not necessary to remove the material unless the placement interferes with the placement of the sheeting required by this part. New cars, retroflective sheeting conforming to this part must be applied to all the cars constructed after January 26, 2006 before the cars are placed in service. Existing of the cars without retroflective sheeting is October 28, 2005 cars with this part not equipped with each of the less 1 square with the retroflective sheeting specified with paragraph A3 of the section. Retroflective sheeting conforming to the part of the applied with the car the yearliest following 2 occasional currently November 28, 2005 in accordance with the paragraph A22 of the section. A. When the car is built, repainted with a rebuilt within 9 months to 270 calendar days after the the cars undergo with a single car air equipment, air brake testing prescribed in Title 49 CFR 232 to 305. The freight rolling stock owner may elect not to follow the schedule in the paragraph A21, but the discussion of it is not no later than January 26, 2006 for the freight rolling stock owner submits to the FRA completed reflectorization implementation compliance report with certifying that the car's owner fleets of the subject of the part will be equipped with the retroflector sheeting required the parts according to the schedule specified in Table 3 of Section C, Appendix B of this part with the reflectorization implementation compliance report form. Table 3 with the subpart B of Part 224 alternative schedule of appliance of the retroflecting material of the freight cars per statute 224-107A22. The 27th, 2020, 2008, 30, 2009, 40, 2005, 2010, 50, 2011, 60, 2012, 70, 2013, 80, 2014, 90, and 2015, 100. That's all by November 28th. Thereafter, the design piece shall be equipped with the retroflector sheeting according to the schedule specified in the Table 3 with the section no later than January 2008, 2008, the freight rolling sky owner shall submit the FRA update the reflectorization implementation compliance showing the cars of the fleet subject to the part equipped with the retroflector sheeting required of each of the part during the initial 24-month period. Therefore, under the reflectorization implementation compliant with it shall be subjected to no later than 31st of each of the year duration of 90-year implementation plan period. See Appendix B of this part. See the following conclusion of the initial 24-month year, 12-month period thereafter. The percentage requirement of the section has not met yet. The freight rolling stock owner shall be concerned with the violation of this part. The freight rolling stock owner shall have within 60 days after the closing period report the failure associated administrative requirements of its part A21 with the shall apply with all the freight railroad freight cars subject to this part with the freight rolling stock owner fleets. And the fleet owners to take the additional action to be necessary to achieve the future compliance. Cars can be retired should be included with the fleet total unit with its retired existing cars with the retroflector sheeting in October 228, 2005 with equipped on each side of at least 1 square foot with the retroflector sheeting uniformly distributed over the length of each side of the car. The car should consider compliant with the part with the November 28, 2005 provided with the sheeting unqualified retroflective sheeting provided the freight car rolling stock owner files a completed reflectorization implementation compliance report with the FRA no later than January 26, 2006 with identifying that all the cars are equipped with the Appendix B of this part with the reflectorization implementation form. Locomotives each except as provided in paragraph B4 of this section. All locomotives that are equipped with the conforming the reflectorization sheet number November 28, 2010. Locomotives are already equipped with the reflectorization applied but does not meet the standard of this part. No necessary to remove the material unless its placement interferes with the placement of the sheeting required for this part. New locomotives retroflector sheeting conform with this part applied with all the locomotives constructed with the January 26, 2006 before they insert with the existing locomotives without retroflective sheeting. In October 28, 2005, the locomotive subject to this part was equipped with the minimum amount of retroflective sheeting specified in paragraph B3 of this section. Regular reflective sheeting conforming with this part must be applied with the locomotive not later than 9 months after the first biannual inspection performed pursuant to Title 49, Statute 229-29 occurred. And after November 28, 2005, freight rolling stock owner may elect to file with the scheduled paragraph of the B21 with the section no later than January 26, 2006. The freight rolling stock owner submit the FRA reflectorization implementation compliance report certifying the locomotives and owner fleet of the subject of the part is equipped with the reflectorization sheet as required with the part according with the schedule specified in the Table 4 section with Appendix B for this part.
Adam, I need you to help.
Alright, I forgot where I was at, but I think I'm on Table 4. Alright, Table 4, Subpart B, with the Part 224 alternative schedule for the application for the retroflective material with the locomotives per Statute 224-107B22. Alright, November 28, 2000, 40%, November 2008, November 28, 2008, 60, November 28, 2009, 80, November 28, 2010, 100. Thereafter, the designated locomotive fleet shall be equipped with the retroflective sheeting according to the requirements of the paragraph B2 with no later than January 28, 2008, with the freight rolling stock shall submit with the FRA an updated reflectorization implementation compliance showing the locomotive fleet subject to the part with equipped with the retroflective sheeting as required with the part during the initial 24-month implementation period. Updated the reflectorization implementation compliance report shall be submitted with annually no later than December 31st each year for the duration of 5-year implementation period. See Appendix B of this part. See the following conclusion for the initial 24-month period, any 12-month period after the percentage requirement of this section has not been yet. The freight rolling stock owner shall be considered for the violation of this part of the freight rolling stock owner shall within 60 days after the closure of the period report the failure to associate administrative requirements of paragraph B2.1, but they shall apply with the locomotive subject to the part of the freight rolling stock owner of the fleet. For the fleet owner shall take the additional action necessary to achieve the future compliant with the locomotives that are attached to be included with the fleet total until they are retired. Existing locomotives with the retroflective sheeting as October 28, 2005, locomotives equipped with each of the least of the 1 square foot of the retroflective sheeting locomotive shall be considered with the compliance with the part through the November 28, 2015, providing the existing material that is unqualified retroflective sheeting provided with the freight rolling stock owner filed with the Reflectorization implementation compliance report with the FRA no later than January 26, 2006, identifying the cars are already so. Equipped with the C of the Appendix B of the October 28th 2005 locomotives equipped with the unqualified retroflective sheeting locomotive with concern with the compliance with the part with the November 28th 2005 locomotives equipped with a minimum of 3 foot square with the retroflective sheet and each provided with the freight rolling stock owner filed with the retroflective implementation compliance report with the FRA no later than January 26, 2006 with identifying locomotive already so with equipped Appendix B of this part. Each railroad has fewer than 400,000 annual employed work hours than each within the calendar year of the 2004. If it does not show the locomotive power with another railroad with 400,000 more annual employed workers hours that brings the locomotive fleet in compliance according with the following schedule. 50% of the railroad locomotives must be retrofitted pursuant to Statute 224-106B by October 28, 2010, and 100% must be retrofitted by Statute 224-1006B October 28, 2005. The railroad with fewer than 400,000 annual employed work hours shall the locomotive power with the railroad of 400,000 more than annual employed work hours. The smaller railroads must comply with the requirements paragraph in B2 and B3 of this section. Alright, Statute 224-109, inspection, repair, and replacement. Railroad freight car with the retroflective sheeting of the railroad freight car subject to the department of the visually inspected with the presence of the condition whenever the car undergoes the signal car air brake test required under the statute title 49 CFR 232-305. If at the time of the inspection less than 80% of the amount of the sheeting required under statute 224-104.5 and 224-107, then if the freight car subject to the statute 224-107-83, either side of the car represented not damaged if they obscured the inspection rail with the contractor shall apply with the notify the person responsible for reporting the marking indicated with the universal management equipment the register or the UMLR and damage obscured with the missing sheet with the less than inspecting railroad contractor doing person for the responsible for reporting mark of the inspection railroad contractor shall retain a written electronic copy each for the notification made at least 2 years after the day of the notice if it shall be made with the records available the inspection copy of the FRA upon the request of the notice is notified that the effective under the section shall have 9 months 270 calendar days of the day of the notification replaced for the damage of the secured with the missing sheet where the inspection record of the contractor the person responsible for the reporting mark of the person shall have the 9 months 270 calendar days from the day of the inspection to repair and replace the damage obscured with the missing sheet. Locomotive with the retroflective sheeting must be visually inspected with the presence of the condition with the locomotive receive the annual inspection required under the statute titled 49 CFR 229-27 at the time of the inspection less than 80% of the amount of the sheeting required under the statute 224-105 and the 224-107 in the case of the locomotive subject to 224-107B3 each side of the locomotive is present with the non-damaged, non-obstructed, or damaged obscured with the missing sheet and must be repaired and replaced for the 9 months 270 calendar days from the day of the inspection provided with the required day of the record of the defect maintained in the locomotive gathered and secured with the accessible electronic database to which the FRA is provided on request. Alright, Statute 224-111, renewal. Regardless of the condition, retroflective sheeting requiring under this part must be placed for the new sheeting on no later than 10 years after the date of the initial installation. At the time of the placement, it is not necessary to remove the old sheeting unless it interferes with the placement of the new sheeting. The old sheeting shall not be considered with the calculating amount of the retroflective material under this part for the purposes of section November 28, 2005, shall be considered with the initial day of the installation of the freight car and locomotives covered in statute 224-107A3 and 224-107B3. Appendix A of the Part 224 Schedule of Civil Penalties, Subpart B, Application Inspection Maintenance of the Retroflective Material. Alright, that goes over to 230, your willful and violations, character of the retroflective sheeting requirements. Appendix B, retroflexion implants compliance report, reflectorization implants compliance report, instruction completion. The submitting of the FRA with the initial reflectorization implementation compliance report under Title 49 CFR 224-107A2 and 2, and then B2 and 2. The components of Part 1, 2, and 3 and 4. If the submitting in accordance with the Title 49, 224-107A3 and B or B3 complete with the parts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If this form submitted with the FRA is updated with the reflectorization implementation compliance with the requirement of Title 49 CFR 224-107A2, 1, 2B, B2, 2, B, complete parts 1, 2, 3, 4, and part 5, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 3, and 5. Report part 5, report the locomotive number identifying the each of the freight car locomotive equipped with the retroflective sheeting conforming to Title 49, Part 224 with this part report period. Part 1, identification, railway car owner, reporting code, preparation name, address, the telephone number, fax, email. Part 2, type of the submission, initial submission, updated compliance report. Part 3, identifying the freight rolling stock of the fleet subject to the Title 49 CFR 224. How many freight cars in the fleet with the subject to the Title 49 CFR Part 224? How many locomotives in the fleet are subject to Title 49 Part 224? Alright, Part 4, certification completion. Part 2, submission for the initial submission for the filing this retroflector implementation compliance with the accompanying the document electronic for the FR with the design with the freight rolling stock owner with the filing the electronic schedule with the equipment of the freight rolling stock with the effective material that's set forth in Title 49 CFR 224 107A22 B2 with the completing and executing filling with the compliance with the report with the unsigned freight rolling stock owner with the certifying the entire fleet of the freight rolling stock subject to Title 49 CFR Part 224 with the equipped with the retroflective sheeting conform with the requirements of Part 224 according to the schedule set forth in Title 49 CFR 224-107A22 B22. For the failure meeting of the requirements of Part 224 may result in assessment of civil penalties or other enforcement by the FRA. Signature of corporate officer and car owner, date or name, the title. This is Part 5, identification for the railway for rolling stock with the Title 49 Part 224 reapplied locomotive freight car identification number. Alright, Appendix C, Part 225 Guidelines, Electronic Submission, Reflectorization, Implementation Compliance Report. Appendix C, Guidelines for Submitting the Reflector Implementation Compliance Report, Title 40, CFR Part 224. Guidelines for the intent of the provided freight rolling stock owner, specific guideline for the direction, submission, reflectorization, compliance report for the when the required of the Title 49 Part 224 the railroad state rolling stock may own with the contact of the FRA Office of Safety, Motor Power, and Equipment Division for the other provided for the submission supply such report. Who must file the record for reflectorization, implementation, compliance report with the freight rolling stock owner defined in Title 49 CFR 224-1-5 with the electing of the following implementation schedule. Title 49 CFR 224-107A2 and B22. Freight car rolling stock owner is seeking to have the existing freight rolling stock the grandfather pursuant to Title 49 CFR 224-107A3 and B3, whether the deadlines are submission for the reflectorization implementation compliance for. In addition, with the taking advantage of flexible implementation schedule for the Title 49 CFR 224-107A2 and B22 with the freight rolling stock grandfather pursuant to Title 49 CFR 224-107A3 and B3 with the freight car rolling stock must submit the initial updated compliance report within the Federal Railroad Administration as follows: an initial compliance report within insert of 90 days after the publication date, an updated compliance no later than 26 months after the effective date, and updated compliance no later than December 31st each of the year during the implementation period. How do I submit the compliance report? The FRA compliance report may be submitted electronically, filing paper to comply with the FRA with the Form 6180113 through the Appendix B with the Part 49 CFR Part 224 following the directions. If electronic media with a copy that does not meet the requirements of Title 49 CFR Part 224 of the entire of the submission will be returned. One paper submission complete with the parts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 from the Form 6180113. Instructive of the form is sent complete with the form to the following address: Creative Information Technology Incorporated, 4601 North Fairfax Drive, Suite 1100, Arlington, Virginia 22203, 703-548, if 3313, extension 223, point of contact Angela Manania. Alright, look at that. This is the last page. Appendix C, guidelines for submitting the reflectorization implementation report. Electronic submission acceptable disk media, CD storage media, only 700 possible megabytes possible, 1x48 with a compatible 4.5-inch diameter. And the CD or storage disk can be accepted. Specific direction. Complete the title 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, and 4 with the form 6180, 113 instruct with the form of the scan with the complete with the FRA form 6180, 113 with the disk media with either the Adobe Acrobat Father JPEG with the form of the CDRW storage media can be accepted at will and not be returned following the format entire of the information. Part 5 in the form of the FRA 6186 113 into the spreadsheet in one of the following formats: MSXL, Quattro Pro, RTF, CVS, or save with the spreadsheet within the same CDR risk media above. Our column spreadsheet: A with the car owner reporting number 4 characters, B the identification number 6 characters, 6 number 6 in fields, C reapplied field number 1 character, and D type of the 1 character and content and descriptions. Appendix C, the guidelines for submitting the reflectorization implementation compliance report, title 49 CFR Part 224. Send the CDR disk, which is relevant to the information FRA following the information creative information technology incorporated with the 4601 for North Fairfax Suite 1100 Arlington, Virginia 222-03-70354 A3313 extension 223 point of contact Angelica Mania. And that once again was your 224 reflectorization freight rolling stock.